What kind of bird is this? It's a robin or what is that? It's really hard to tell, but it's absolutely beautiful. There it goes. Welcome back to another episode of Plant-Based Dads. I'm Joey. We are out in the desert today, going for a walk. This is actually a park by my house. Just trying to get some my morning steps in. I'm trying to do 2 miles in the morning, and then I do 2 miles in the afternoon before I go to work. I do a quick shout out to our Patreon and PayPal supporters. Our financial supporters are what helps us get the show together and put the message out to the public. If you thought about helping the show or being part of what we're doing, that's how you can help. There's a link below on how you can join Patreon and PayPal. We also do have Patreon-only content out on Patreon, so we upload stuff there that we don't upload on YouTube. And that's specifically for the Patreon members. So become a Patreon member, you'll get that benefit also. All right, today we're going to show you another main course for the holidays. We'll be making this for Thanksgiving. It's kind of our tofu loaf, our crusted tofu loaf, except it's cut into cutlets and laid on the plate really nicely, so people can just pick the slices they want. It's a really nice main dish alternative to a lentil loaf or something like that. It's really, really simple to make. I mean, you can literally throw this together in 20 minutes. So I don't believe in putting myself through a nightmare all day cooking on Thanksgiving. We're cooking, it's Sunday afternoon. We're cooking all of our food for Thanksgiving this week, yesterday, and today. And then we're just serving on Thanksgiving, because the thing with Thanksgiving food to me is it tastes way better as leftovers. So I'm just going to make it all ahead of time and then lay it out on the plate on Thanksgiving, and we'll call it a day. So stick around, check out what we're doing here. The tofu cutlets are a really fun way to have a really big presentation on Thanksgiving with all your sides. All right. Let me show you what we did. Our tofu cutlets start with a block of tofu. This is a 16-ounce block right out of the refrigerated section. And this one, of course, is organic. You can use extra firm or firm, that's fine. If you don't know this trick, to get the water out without making a mess, you can just use a knife and just cut along the side right here. And then just take this whole thing over to the sink and squeeze out the water before you take it apart. Now all the water's out of it, so I'm just gonna finish cutting it open. And now it's not so hard to deal with all the water coming out. It's still got to be pressed, but it's a lot easier to work with now. Here's what we do when we're pressing this. I take a kitchen towel and I fold it the long way, and then I fold it again, and I've got kind of this long, kitchen towel length. And then I take the tofu and I put it on the very end right here, and then I move the tofu over. So now it's got a rag under it, and it's got a rag on top. And then I just put something heavy right on top. And I'm just gonna take one of these metal trivets I use to put our pots on. It's just, actually this is cast iron. And I'm just gonna put it on there, that's it. I'm gonna leave it for 5 minutes. And then that tofu will expel the water, and the water will soak into the rag. Okay, so it's been on for 5 minutes. And I don't know if you can see this, but this rag is pretty wet right here, and it's definitely soaked underneath here. So I'm just gonna flip this over, right? And let it get toward the end, right about here. And then I'll do this whole thing again, right here, and put this on one more time, and this will get the rest of the water out. And I think that's pretty good right there, and that's looking pretty nice. So I think we're ready to cut this up. Let's get rid of the rag and let's get the cutting board. All right, I'm gonna start cutting this. I've got my Doll Strong Mini Santoku knife here. Perfect knife for this job right here. It'll slice right through this. I'm gonna try and have them a decent thickness. They're supposed to be cutlets, so that one right there looks pretty good. What do you think? Not bad, right? It'll be a nice sized cutlet. So let's see how many I can get out of here. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that should give me 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm getting 8 cutlets out of this. You can cut it to whatever thickness you want, but I want them to be thick enough so they don't fall apart. The next thing I'm going to do is create my broth with all these spices. And I'm going to start with 3 cups of Better Than Bouillon. It's just the water with the Better Than Bouillon mixed in together. And that's how I made this. And then here I've got about 3 sprigs of rosemary. We just took it off a plant. And it's here. And then we've got, you can see there's some thyme right here, little thyme leaves. So I've got about 3 sprigs of thyme. And I pulled the actual little branches off, so I've just got the leaves. And I'm going to throw that right in here with my broth. Next, I'm going to put in 3/4 of a teaspoon of oregano. This is actually a 3/4, I don't know if you can see that right there, a 3/4 teaspoon. So it isn't a full or a half, which is nice. So when there's 3/4 of something, I just pop that in. And look how it fits right into the jar because it's rectangle, so you gotta love that. So 3/4 of a teaspoon of oregano, 3/4 of a teaspoon of paprika, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna estimate that. You can salt it to taste. About 3/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper, same thing, just salt and pepper to taste. Depending on your broth, you may not need any salt at all. 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of some dried parsley. We're also going to add in the juice of, I don't know, about 1 lemon, 2 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons. I cube all my lemons because I squeeze them and then freeze them. So this is a cube. I'm not really sure how much this is. It's about 2.5 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons. And then I'm going to grab like an iced teaspoon and just kind of mix this all together to get it combined. And we're just going to pour this over the tofu and let the tofu soak all this up. All right, I think that's ready to pour in. That's looking good right there. You can see all the spices. Perfect. Next, I'm just gonna grab a baking dish, and I chose this one because it has a cover, so I can put them on and shake if I need to, or I put it in the fridge and let it store for up to a day or 2 to soak up the juice. I'm gonna lay out my cutlets here one at a time. I'm going to try and get them in a single layer if I can, and that should be no problem. This pan is big enough to accommodate that, I believe. It's going to be close. So close. Can we get one more in here? Let me see here. Maybe if I do this, or if I do that and I angle that. I think that's pretty good right there, right?
Yeah, let's space these out then.
Tim doesn't think the spacing's even, so...
Well, no, then you get between everything.
All right. And Tim's right. We do want to make sure that it gets between all of these things, right? So there we go. All right, so we're just going to take our broth now and just pour it over this and make sure there's enough for all of that tofu to absorb the liquid. And there's plenty in there. There you go. Let me see if I can get some of that other stuff out. Perfect. In this situation right here, there's really no reason to put the cover on and shake it because we did use enough broth to cover this whole thing. Now at this point, I'm going to let this sit maybe for 3 to 4 hours. You can let it sit for up to a day or 2, and then we'll proceed with going to the next step. But we do want the tofu to absorb some of that liquid, so we're going to give it some time to do that. Okay, so now that we've had these marinating for a while, we're just going to pull these tofu cutlets out one at a time. And we're going to lay them inside the panko breadcrumbs and just kind of coat them, flip them around once or twice, and get the panko breadcrumbs to cover the outside of these cutlets. The panko breadcrumbs should have no problem sticking because the cutlets are nice and wet from the broth. And we're just going to keep on going until we get all of the cutlets on a parchment paper lined baking sheet that we're going to throw in the oven for 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. So we're just going to keep on going here until we get the whole pan done. And here we're starting with about 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs. You can use the ones from Trader Joe's. We're using this one right here, but use more if you need to, whatever you need to coat these things. And you can see here we've got our 8 tofu cutlets here, beautifully coated, ready to go in the oven. We're going to put them in a 400 degree oven for about 18 to 20 minutes. We'll check on them to make sure that they brown, but they don't burn. All right, so don't throw out the broth because we're going to use it to make a gravy. So keep this around.
We've come to the point where it's time to make the gravy. Let's filter the marinating sauce.
So this is just the broth that we use, and you can see here it's got all the stuff in it, and we just want to filter this out because we want to use this broth. All right, there we go.
The greens could turn bitter.
Yeah.
It's just better.
Next, I've got a mixture of 3 tablespoons of soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of tahini that have been mixed together and kind of just whisked together. And we're just going to whisk it right into our pan right here. Want to get all that out of there. We want to mix that till it's combined. All right, we're going to bring this up to a boil like the way you see it now. And then we're going to reduce the heat to simmer. And as we're stirring, we're going to add in 1/4 cup of brown rice flour. The rice flour does a good job of thickening up this broth, so this will give us a really nice sauce. And this recipe is right out of the McDougall starch solution book. It's the golden gravy. And then as you stir, it'll start thickening.
You can already tell it's a little thicker.
Yeah, it's getting there.
We made this last year, and it worked.
We've made it every Thanksgiving, and it works.
If you're wondering, is brown rice flour worth it?
It is.
I don't know. It was kind of nice how it dissolved so quickly. It's something that we use when we make bread, sourdough bread. So if you're wondering what else can I do with it, you buy a package.
All right, let's see if it's thickening up. And look at that. Like, that's nice and thick. That's ready to go.
So Joey, do you remember we put some lemon in the marinade?
We did.
Yes, and so the lemon slices, or if you wanted to add lemon wedges, and people could squeeze that on.
Yep, they absolutely could.
For at the dinner table, that would work. But our son is going to love this. It's crispy on the outside. It's very nice. So,
and there you go. Our beautiful tofu cutlets ready for your holiday meal. This will look great on your table. That's our video for today. Click that like button to show us some love. Please hit that subscribe button and click on the bell. You get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Tuesday. And leave a comment below. Have you made tofu cutlets before? What's going on your holiday table? All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
take care.